You write in an op-ed and on LinkedIn that Musk is kind of a counter case study for leadership. Just talk us about why he's such a powerful counter case study.
Well, Caroline, at the very moment when we have major multinational companies like Pfizer, Accenture, Salesforce, Walmart investing into their employees' well-being, mental health, and seeing the business results in terms of recruitment, retention, productivity, we have Elon Musk, who is a genius when it comes to understanding energy in cars, clearly not understanding human energy, and acting and expecting his employees to act as though work fueled by burnout leads to peak performance and great business results. And we see that it doesn't. We see a chaotic process of decision making, which clearly is not benefiting Twitter, and it's obviously not benefiting Tesla, because to Ed's point about why is Tesla stock down, there's no question that Elon Musk is the genius behind Tesla. When that genius is distracted by auctioning espresso machines from Twitter and moving beds into conference rooms and trolling Fauci on Twitter, if I were an investor in Tesla, I would be worried about why isn't he focusing on Tesla, especially during a time of growing competition.
What's interesting is this sort of hero status of sleeping in the office. Sam Bankman-Fried, who we're about to talk about much more in terms of the crypto world, falling asleep on beanbags, and almost it being something that they wanted to show the VCs and the potential investors. Look how then dynamic and focused as he is the minute he wakes up and comes to give you a pitch. When can we stop having this sort of idea of cultish fanaticism around certain people and an ability to do it all on about 2 hours sleep?
Well, actually, the majority of the world has stopped. That's what is so fascinating, especially because of the pandemic. We went from sleep deprivation, exhaustion, burnout-fueled work being a badge of honor and celebrated, to the opposite. I mean, we have major CEOs now, including Satya Nadella and Jeff Bezos, when he was CEO of Amazon, talking about getting 8 hours of sleep. We have major elite athletes like LeBron James and Tom Brady and Roger Federer talking about the importance of recovery for peak performance. And all these people are very hardworking. Caroline, I want to stress, this is not about not working hard. This is about working smart and not having the diminishing returns we've all experienced when we're exhausted and burned out and running on empty. And so the science and the data are so unequivocal, and that's what I find fascinating, because I'm a big admirer of Elon Musk. He's unquestionably a genius. So somebody who understands so perfectly energy, renewable energy, when it comes to cars, is missing out, is actually using incredibly outdated modes of human energy when it comes to how he wants to run his businesses.
Arianna, is Elon Musk not just going back to his playbook? I want to bring up something you said in your op-ed, that he's showing the downsides of a model fueled by burnout and lack of sleep in his own decision-making. And that made me think about the reporting from 2018 when Musk said he was sleeping on the production line with his engineers. You know, he does have a good track record of getting these companies, be it Tesla, be it SpaceX, through moments of duress. And you look at those two companies now, they are the clear market incumbents for both electric vehicles and commercial space launch.
Absolutely, Ed. I think two things have happened. One, the culture has moved on. The pandemic has dramatically accelerated the cultural shift away from celebrating, as Caroline was saying, burnout and wearing it as a badge of success. When Elon Musk asked his Twitter employees to commit to a hardcore, intense way of working, 1,200 of them resigned. That would not have happened in 2018. What happened with the pandemic is that people looked at their lives and what do they value? And millions of people said, we value hard work, we value being completely engaged by our work, but we also don't want to be defined by our work. And we want to be able to also prioritize our own health and well-being. So that's the moment we are in right now. And I have no doubt that if Elon Musk started applying that scientific, clear data point around how to best work and achieve business results, he would be even more phenomenally amazing across all his companies.
Arianna, you've been a board member and an executive, a leader at a number of companies, technology sector and in media. Give me some concrete proposals that you think Elon Musk should put into play to fix the situation at Twitter, to improve performance at Tesla. What advice would you give him then to change what has been the case so far?
Well, the first thing is along the lines of what we're discussing, kind of recognizing that he is going to make better decisions when he's not running on empty, when he's not exhausted.
So get a good night's sleep, in other words.
Get a good night's sleep, recharge, work hard. He's always going to work hard. You work hard, Caroline works hard, I work hard. That's kind of table stakes. But we all know also that our work depends on judgment, and his work and his achievements and what he does for his companies depends on the quality of his decisions. And look at the quality of his decision has not been good. There have been so many reversals, and there's been kind of so much trolling of figures, the Twitter files and all that, and that's all a huge distraction. And that really is my big hope, that he recognizes how much more effective he would be as a leader and how much better the business results would be if he looked at the science and data of peak performance.
Arianna, what's interesting is Ed mentions there your expertise having been a board member of Uber, for example, and holding executives to account, making sure that there is the right corporate governance in place. Many might look at two leaders you single out, Elon Musk, Sam Bankman-Fried, that they either have people on their boards who are perhaps yes people, or they don't really have much of a board at all. Do you think as we head to some sort of economic slowdown and a downturn, people will put more focus on corporate governance?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's actually stunning that FTX did not have a board. Isn't it stunning that major VCs invested in a company without a board? I mean, I know at Uber, actually, I saw firsthand the dangers of burnout and the decisions it led to that almost brought down the company. And we saw what happened with FTX. So we have so many examples that it's now time to stop celebrating an outmoded way of working. Actually, Caroline, I've looked at where this started. It goes back to the Industrial Revolution. When we kind of started revering machines, and the goal with machines is to minimize downtime, and that's the same goal with software. But for the human operating system, downtime is not a bug, it's a feature. And once we accept that, it changes the way we run businesses.
I mean, goodness, we structure our Monday to Friday almost in a way that was when Henry Ford first was pioneering. It is in many ways backdated. I'm interested in your expertise, not only in the corporate governance and your experience, but also as a woman who led the charge in a new form of media. You must be fascinated to watch what Twitter is doing as a new form of media in a way, citizen journalism, we all call it. How do you think that landscape will evolve?
Well, what is amazing now is that when I launched the Huffington Post 2005, before you were born, Caroline,
I wish.
The focus and the vision was to democratize media.
Yeah.
Now we've seen, the democratization of media, and there is a lot of great stuff about it. But I've also seen how people gathering around just what they believe, the whole danger of confirmation bias and only reading things that you agree with is a tremendous danger for democracy and for the truth.
Do you think...
Arianna...
Ed, go.
No, sorry, Carrie. Just on that line, I still find Twitter to be a chaotic experience. When I use the platform, I can't tell if it's improved or if it's got worse. It's certainly changing. What is your kind of view on the platform itself, the content that gets generated from it, the news that spreads through it?
Well, it's definitely changing, but we don't know how far it will change. I think it's interesting that Elon Musk still agrees that some people should be banned. It's just that he may think the people he would ban are different maybe than the people you would ban or I would ban. But the principle that free speech doesn't mean that you can cry fire in a crowded theater is still prevailing, which is very interesting.
What's interesting is, what is the positive side is you can have so much more of a direct relationship with your own audience. And that's what we're trying to do here ultimately on the Bloomberg Technology Show, is go to people where they're at. So they're consuming on Twitter, they're on TikTok, they're on Instagram. And we actually did ask our audience sort of whether they trust ultimately Twitter as some sort of verification, particularly as it gets this verification system that's just come into part today. Does it give you confidence in the sort of citizen journalism? The source, 61% say no. So we know that there's the limitations there and the nerves. Ultimately, Arianna, every time I speak to you, I feel like you're an inherent optimist. Are you at this moment where we're all wringing our hands about the way in which technology companies have been allowed to grow, have been growing, the way in which we now look at a slower economy? Are you still positive on innovation and on leadership within that?
Oh, absolutely. I'm incredibly positive. You know, we work at Thrive with hundreds of companies around the world, and we have seen that the crisis of the pandemic has been used as a catalyst for fundamental change in the way workplaces are run, in the way employee well-being is prioritized, and actually seeing the result in business metrics. So that makes me incredibly optimistic.
Will it stick as the pendulum swings,
yes,
though, as we
sticking.
start to see perhaps the pendulum go from employee to employer, as it starts?
Absolutely. In fact, even though there are layoffs and even though there are hiring freezes, we have gathered over 100 major companies to take a pledge, a mental health pledge, that they are not going to regress when it comes to investing in the mental health and well-being of their employees. Because, Caroline and Ed, as you know, we have a huge mental health crisis. It's in a way the second pandemic. So for businesses, these are not warm and fuzzy decisions. These are central to their business strategy, because you don't want your employees to be falling apart while you want them to be productive.